Welcome to Renegade Thinkers Unite, a show that will help you transform your marketing from mere messaging to programs that break the rules and make a difference. Join the movement today and learn non-traditional techniques that give you an edge. Now, here's your Chief Marketing Renegade, Drew Nizer.
My guest today is Ryan Linders, Vice President, CRM, Loyalty, and Marketing Analytics at Sally Beauty. Now, for the uninitiated, Sally Beauty is a global company with 5,000 stores, 10,000 professional beauty products, and $3.8 billion in annual sales. So Ryan's a big deal. And Ryan spent the better part of his career in retail, including an 11-year stint at Chuck E. Cheese's, as well as stops at J.C. and Pier 1 Imports. Late last year, Ryan was recognized by the CMO Club with its Rising Star Award, and today we'll be exploring state-of-the-art when it comes to things like customer retention. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, I'm afraid I asked this question to all my guests, but it is called Renegade Thinkers Unite. And so I do believe that people go into marketing tend to have a little bit of renegade-ness in them. Dare I ask if you have some renegade characteristics and what makes you a renegade?
Well, I think anyone who's running CRM departments for the organization would say they're a data renegade because, in dates past, brand marketing has been what's been driving the business. And so from a perspective of, I think where we're coming from, I think we're at a place where everything's driven by the customer and everything's driven by data. So I think we're trying to swim upstream, and make sure that we're being relevant with customer data.
Interesting. And there's a lot of conversation about marketing technology that's enabling this data. Let's talk about, if you will, a use of this in the CRM world, or this data that is somewhat sort of non-traditional. I know it's all sort of new in a sense, but is there something that you've been working on in the area of CRM and loyalty that you think is really sort of fresh and new?
Yeah, so I think as we think about our customer, we have to bring to the brand and through marketing, we have to come at this as, well, why Sally Beauty? Like, why should a customer, when they have any other big box opportunity to shop at like a Walmart, a Walgreens, like why Sally Beauty and what makes us relevant? And so I think when we thought about it is, how do we use the data that we know about our customers to figure out who are those customers that we need to go after? But then more importantly, what are the right products and solutions that we target to those customers that is relevant to them? If a customer can go really anywhere, how do we make Sally Beauty and how do we make our experience different and personalized to what we know they might be most interested in buying?
So are we talking about personalized, if you will, messages to current customers to get them to go to the store, go to the web? I mean, what's specifically are sort of, because I understand totally the notion of, giving a customer or a prospect a reason to, but let's ground it a little bit. Is it e-tail, retail, both?
Yeah, so for our perspective, we have 3,000 brick and mortar locations, but we also have an online order system. Not only is it online through the website, but also partnering with, partners like Amazon, and other ways to distribute our product. We have to think about it from a perspective of our existing customer, retention customer, so retention-based marketing, really targeted at the right demographic, the right customer, the right product mix. We work with our merchandise team and come up with hundreds and hundreds of promotions each month that might be, really driven by what products we have, what vendor partners we work with. But our goal at the CRM level is to take all of those deals and offers and all of the customers that we know and try to get the right product in front of that customer. Specifically, if we think about a demographic customer, maybe from ethnicity. We actually make products for a multicultural customer for natural hair. And so as we think about that, there's a promotion that might speak a little differently to that customer than every other customer that shops us.
So we're talking about segmentation. You have obviously a large database with information about purchase behavior of your current customers, right? I mean, that's a fair place to start. You've got first party data, and then you're making decisions in terms of how to get this customer to buy more of your products than somewhere else. So let me ask you this. You mentioned promotions, and I know personally there are a few websites, and they must know this because I only buy from them when they give me a good deal. And I even know what that percentage is. It's like, right. They hit me with 40, I'm in, right? And if it's 35, I'm not in. And they know, right. And I'm certain of it, that these sophisticated, and these are particularly now, e-tailers, but how much are they, is the customer training you to give them discounts and you training them to sort of wait for the promotion? Is that a factor here?
So I think ever since the retail landscape has changed, and I'm going to go as brave as say back in November, it kind of shook all of our worlds up. A lot of share shift happened online. A lot of Amazon share shift also happened this last holiday season. And as we think about that, that's actually changed our whole entire perspective now as we move forward in the business. So I think our customer is telling us a little bit about who specifically is buying on deal and not buying on deal. But let's be honest, we're now competing with the rest of the retail environment, and everyone is heavily promotional. So the only thing we think to give us a leg up on our competition is, well, let's talk about the salon inspired products that we sell at a great value. And by the way, a lot of it's under $10. So we're kind of going at it from a value message, but then taking that value message one step deeper and saying, well, what's relevant to a customer who's a stylist? What's relevant to a customer who's coloring their own hair? And what's relevant to a customer who is out to fight frizz or build volume? And so we're just trying to take it a step personal outside of just the fact that everyone's fighting for customer dollars and customer promotions.
Yeah, and it's got to be brutal, and it's such an interesting, as you said, it's really probably a revolution that everybody saw it coming, but I don't think anybody expected it to be so dramatic this particular holiday season. And so at this point, Amazon is essentially both is a frenemy, I guess, because you sell products via them, but also you sell direct. So that must be an interesting factor in all of this.
Yeah, I think our biggest strategy in partnering with Amazon is let's not think about our own distribution vehicles, but let's be available to her wherever she's shopping. That's in the 3,000 locations. We're on almost every city. We're around the corner from her convenience-wise. We're also online. But what other places we know she's shopping? And Amazon has been one of those partnerships for us as we continue to grow that relationship.
So when we talk about some of these efforts, is all of this? Give me a sense of the landscape that we're looking at besides email. I mean, is it programmatic? Facebook. I mean, where is this sort of does this optimization happen? Where you have a target and you have a promotion, but you still have to get it in front of the person.
Yeah, great question. So one of the big drivers here at Sally Beauty has been, one, who is our existing customer base, and how do we get more contactability of that existing customer? So as we lean into acquire more email addresses, email has been one of the main ways we've been able to increase our reach of promotions and messages and becoming more targeted. With partnerships with Salesforce and other partners like that, we've seen that work really well for us. But what's been interesting is having an email address allows us to append a mailing address, which then allows us to append an IP address, which we do a lot more programmatic targeting through digital display ads with partners like Conversant, and thinking about how do we put the right message in front of that customer and get the right number of impressions and really extend our reach in digital. So email, direct mail is still a part of our mix, digital programmatic. We're also obviously leaning into testing with some of our TV and radio partners, as well as a little bit more on some target radio.
Yeah, I want to get to that, let's stay in the digital landscape for a moment.
Sure.
As we talk about, first of all, email still being relevant and still being effective, I think is one of those surprises to people, because I think 3 or 4 years ago, people were saying, well, nobody's reading email anymore. And I haven't talked to a marketer yet who, in the last 6 months, who hasn't not only said, is email important, but it's getting more important. Is there a way that you approach email that has been particularly effective? And I imagine you're constantly testing it, but is there some things that you've learned that might be helpful to other marketers in terms of how to make email really work?
For sure. I mean, the easiest way we found is, one, requiring it when you have a loyalty program, requiring it as contactability. That sounds easy. That wasn't something that we had in place. So putting that in place obviously helped us. The idea that you give value for when you capture the email address. So with us, you get $5 back for an instant sign up. And then we allow you throughout kind of a customer journey of a welcome series to also know about our social channels, how to follow us in other digital channels, and also about signing up for our text messaging program, which allows us to give customers even more deals and offers personalized to who they are. So, email address has been a huge opportunity for us. I think as I talk to our stores teams and our operators, I think the big value that we've been able to share with them is it's not only communicating to customers in email, it's what email opens up in all the other media channels that I don't think people realize. Email gives us a way to reach them through text messaging, because we can send an email to sign up for text messaging, and then opens it up for pins for mailing address and IP addresses, and then reaching them in the digital space.
So this has been a great start to the conversation. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask Ryan a little bit about the loyalty program, what the goals were, how hard it was to set up. And maybe if we have a little time, we'll swing back to those old-fashioned channels like radio and TV and what role they actually play. So stand by. We'll be right back.
Renegade Thinkers Unite is brought to you by Social Media Explorer, the website that explores the world of social media from the inside out. Great advice from today's leading social media columnists and experts at socialmediaexplorer.com. That's socialmediaexplorer.com.
Okay, I'm back with Ryan Linders, Vice President CRM, Loyalty and Marketing Analytics at Sally Beauty. Ryan, we started to talk about the loyalty program. The first thing I thought was really important, and I'll probably talk about this at the end, but you gave somebody basically immediately a $5 reward for participation, and in exchange for that, they got you got their email address, and that is such an important transaction right there. Was that a magic number, that $5 just was it what you guys felt, or did you test your way there, or did it just sort of come to be?
Well, what's interesting is, there are many different types of retail programs out there. For example, you've got Costco memberships, you've got Amazon memberships where they pay for a loyalty program. Sally Beauty's no different. We right now have a paid for loyalty program. So you pay a $5 annual membership fee. In return, we actually give you a offer back that says, here's $5 to come back and spend in our store, in a subsequent trip. So we are actually in an interesting position to where we have a paid for loyalty program, which never required an email address, and that's something that we're making a change as we move forward in the new program.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you get the email address. Okay, and then with that, you talked about being able to text them. So let's just talk about that. Is there any, from a technology standpoint, without giving away the store, I guess that's a bad pun in this category, but how do you actually then text them? I mean, I think a lot of businesses would love to take their email and then sort of get permission to text. How does that work technically?
So what we do is we've put our text messaging program into our welcome series. So customers, we're onboarding them into our new brand, letting them know what Sally Beauty has to offer, what we sell. We first send them a first welcome email that has that $5 coupon in that first offer. in that first email. The subsequent email that they get from us talks a little bit more about our brand, that we're about do-it-yourself hair color, that we're about hair care that's for the right solution you're trying to solve for your hair. We're about cosmetics, and we're about nails. And so we talk to them about our categories. The third email that they will get from us is talking about the channels in which they can connect to us. So we talk about social media, our different Facebook, Instagram, different ways to connect with us as a brand. And then we finally mentioned to them about, hey, we've got a text messaging program. We send MMS and SMS messages to our customers, letting them know of flash deals, instant savings, and things we think that they would be interested in hearing from us about. And then we just give them a 20% off discount offer for signing up for that text messaging program.
Oh, that's great. Right. Once again, there's a value exchange that happens there. I think it's really interesting that this series, it's so thoughtfully created. Did you test your way to that, or did it just sort of that's the way this thing evolved?
So really, when we've built out our customer journeys, and when I say customer journey, it is what's going on in the customer as they're interacting with our brand. At Welcome, we definitely tested into what are the right things to say to our customers over the course of multiple emails, and what are the right messages that we think they would be interested in. So over the course of a couple of weeks, we're sending them 3 and 4 different messages. If I think about our other customer journeys that we've built, we think about customers that are coloring their hair. Well, if we think about that as a journey, we think about a customer who comes in and we know they buy hair color from us. At some point in time in their transaction history, we know that they're going to be up for having to touch up their hair. Maybe their roots are showing, or they're going to need to buy conditioner for color treated hair. And at some point in time, they're going to probably recolor their hair completely. So as we think about it from that perspective, it's all about this journey. And along the journey, what are the right messages and the right deals that we would maybe put in front of a customer to try to get them to come back to the store?
You know, it's funny when you think about the hair color one. I mean, you're absolutely right. The roots start to show. This is observation, not personal experience, but
right.
And so a message in it, well timed, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever that is on the average, sort of the need for it. And a coupon, I would imagine, would be very effective since women don't change hair colors that often, right? They'd want to use the same one. And so I would imagine there would be definitely an opportunity for that repeat person to not change brand. And then, of course, you're sort of asking, you want fries with that, which is sort of the shampoo that will help you with the hair. And I imagine you could do that in a number of categories.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's, color is a good category for us. But when we think about even the color conversation, by no means would we send an offer to a customer that we already know is buying a complimentary category from us. And by no means would we be sending them a discount offer to recolor their hair if we know they're going to probably recolor their hair in, 10 to 12 weeks. So we use that as a lever in kind of what we call our journey series to say, maybe we just need to remind them it's time to color their hair. Not necessarily send them a deal. We would only send them a deal if we know that we haven't seen them in the time in which we would have anticipated them coming in for that next purchase. So those types of journeys that we are built in digital, we've also built that digitally outside of not just email, but through some of our digital programmatic buying. So for example, we know someone's up for recoloring their hair. They're going to see a digital banner ad from us, probably relevant to the hair color they bought, and letting them know about maybe some new colors or some new complementary products we have that would go along with coloring their hair.
To the point that the model that shows up in the picture would have the same hair color.
That's right. We've got 6 different colors that we would rotate in and out in that creative between, blonde, brunette, and the different colors that would maybe be a little bit more relevant to that customer.
And to manage a program like this, a CRM program like this, is this something that you're doing 100% in Salesforce, or are you using an additional, overlay to help, serve up these offers and track them?
Yeah, so we have a little bit of that built inside our teams here. So inside our database, we have a CRM database. We do leverage partners like Salesforce and Conversant. on some of our execution. But we're also doing a lot of internal marketing analytics with some of our data scientist team internally of doing a little bit of predictive modeling, looking at some of our what is the customer's propensity to buy a product, and some of our next best recommendations, so that we can start modeling out as we execute with some great partners, what is the right thing to put in front of that customer whenever we're in our execution.
And so I'm going to go very big, and then I'm going to want to try to come back for some small businesses and how they might be able to learn from this. But the big part of this, it seems like you would, some cognitive or predictive analytics could be some really interesting part. I'm sure the folks at IBM would love to talk to you about, Watson and how it might, how weather data might have an impact on this, and some other things that could create some predictive analytics. Are you starting to think about that area as well?
Absolutely. So if we think about CRM is responsible for customer retention, within customer retention, there's customer churn. So as we think about when do we think we might see that we're seeing that a customer is attriting out of the business, or maybe even attriting out of a category. Maybe they've stopped shopping or spending in a certain group or category that we would have expected them to spend with us. So we are on the cusp of some advanced analytics right now, growing the team and the function here on looking at that data of those customers. And again, it supports the reason we move into a new loyalty program in the future, so that we can make sure that we have more customers that we're following those transactions and making better decisions with the data that we know that we're collecting.
And I'm going to ask you one last question, or actually I have two more questions. The first one is, with the email, you could obviously also use Facebook, their remarketing or custom audience programs as well. And I would imagine that might fit into your planning, right?
Yeah, that's right. We see about a 60% match of our email addresses to custom audiences within Facebook, specifically when we know that we can find those customers in the social space. So it's definitely going to have a larger part of the plan as we move forward, working with our internal social media teams. Because again, a lot of people in social, if they're already following our brand, it's a good retention message. But then there's a lot of customers who we know look like our customers in the social space, and it will allow us to kind of retarget those customers leveraging, Facebook custom audiences.
Sure. So a couple of things. One being, by the way, 60% match is high relative to a lot of brands that I've worked with. Now, of course, a lot of the brands we've worked with are B2B, and so you have obviously business address and personal address, so that lowers it. But still, 60% match is really pretty good. And then just what Ryan was talking about in terms of going beyond the current base and creating an audience that looks like your current customer, because your future customer probably looks like your current customer. So I have one last question for you. This has really been interesting. I think we've really gotten into some key elements of building loyalty. What has been the toughest lesson that you've learned when it comes to building a meaningful loyalty program?
So I would definitely say, don't underestimate your data infrastructure. It seems like it is the basic of basis to building a CRM program, building loyalty. Biggest thing that I've learned here with my time at Sally Beauty is you're only as good as the data you have. And don't get overwhelmed with data. The piece that I realized here is we stepped back and said, there are some key objectives that if we targeted the right customer with the right product, really targeted to the right solution, we can really unlock a lot of things here at Sally Beauty. And as we stepped back and talked about that, the first thing we had to do was build a data architecture and a customer database that really was, one, well maintained, two, our customers were unique in nature, so that we knew that we had contactability of all those customers in different channels, so that we could actually go to market with knowing who those customers were matched to those individual transactions. So that has helped us unlock everything we're moving towards in a new loyalty program as we partner with Epsilon to help us launch this new loyalty program. We knew that we needed internal data architecture and infrastructure. And then we need our great external partners, for email, Salesforce, for digital ads, Conversant, and then for our loyalty program with Epsilon.
It is really a remarkable tech stack. I'm going to take a crack at summarizing some of the things that I heard here, and for the benefit, particularly of some of the smaller businesses that might be listening in here. What we talked about first was really the notion that a loyalty program is about helping your customer and finding a fair exchange of value in that process. So what's interesting is, as Ryan was talking about each step of the email process, while the goal was to sell product to this customer, it was really thought about in terms of, well, if I charge them for this, I have to deliver some value, right? So there was this exchange. Even though you charged $5, you gave $5 coupon. So that was a pretty much of a wash. Importantly, get the email address. That's the beginning of all good things. And even if you don't have a budget for a Salesforce and a Conversant and an Epsilon, even just building a database that you can sort of segment a little bit in something as simple as a MailChimp, still there are things that you can do to segment your database between customer, non-customer, between people who readily open your stuff and people who don't. So segmentation is key in this thing. We didn't talk a lot about testing, but I know it was happening. I guess the last and probably the thing that Ryan said that is so critical to all of this is get the good data up front. Make it worthwhile. You really need to do it. I don't think any business today can succeed at maintaining their customers without an email address and ideally a mobile address, and that's something that a lot of people forget about. But let's not forget about that, because we're spending all of our time on our mobile phone. So with that, Ryan, I think this has been incredibly instructive in terms of really digging into what it takes to build a loyalty program and with that sort of email series. So thank you so much for being on Renegade Thinkers Unite.
Thank you so much.
This has been Renegade Thinkers Unite, but it doesn't end there. Just go to renegadethinkersunite.com for more and subscribe to the show. That way, you'll never miss an episode. We'll talk with you next time on Renegade Thinkers Unite.